Hi everyone, my name is Natalia and I'm here to take you through the solution for Workout Wednesday 2020, week 39. Can you build a mobile calendar picker? I built this challenge as part of the Community Contribution Month, and the idea here is that you select a date range from the calendar picker and this updates the metric overview. I have included a show and hide container as well to give users more options for selections. So you can select a particular year and month. This updates the header and the calendar as well. And you can go and make your selection from here. So I have built myself a small template here to save a bit of time. And I'm going to take you through the solution step by step, starting straight from the data source. So for this solution, I have included a couple of files. We have the sample superstore from Tableau 2020.2 version. And I have also included a dates table, which contains just one single field, date, and this includes every single date from 2016, 17, 18, and 2019. So the reason why we need this is that you may have noticed before, if you have worked with the sample superstore data source, not every single day has an order associated with it. So there's missing dates in that file. So this is why I have joined the two files, keeping everything from the dates table. So this is a left inner join. And we'll be using this dates field in our date parameters and all of the sheets that are using those date selections. So let's start with the first sheet, the calendar picker sheet. I have already included weekday and week on my columns and rows to save a bit of time. And we'll get started with the first parameter here. This will be our select month parameter to filter to just one particular month. And we'll build this one based on the date field. So let's go and create a parameter. Call this select month. And I'll leave it as it is as a data type date, keeping all of the date values in here. Click OK, show the parameter. And now link this to a calculation, which will be our month filter calculation. And this is just going to take the month of select month parameter and equal this to the month of date. So let's click OK and add this to our filters, set it to true. And this now filters to January 2016. Let's select another month here, maybe April 2016, and you will notice how the weeks change and the days inside here as well. Okay, so let's create our next parameter, which is going to select our start and end date for the calendar picker. Create parameter. I'm going to call this select start and end date. It's going to be a string parameter, and it's going to contain both the start and the end dates. So starting with the start date, having year, month, date. So 8th of June 2019 is going to be our start date. And for the end date, we can have 21st of June 2019. I'm going to click OK, show the parameter, and we're going to link this now in a date selection calculation to update this parameter. Let's call this date selection. And I have 4 clauses here for my if statement. The first one is displaying if the parameter is blank, essentially, select a date. If the parameter contains something already, then restart the selection when you click on those dates. The third one is if no end date is selected and the end date is less or equal to the start date, then restart the selection and else restart else select an end date. Ending the statement, I'm going to click OK and add this to detailed. And we're ready to set up our first parameter action. So I'm going to add this on the worksheet here, just to show you how it works. But later on, we are going to have it built on the dashboard as well. So let's add a worksheet action, change parameter. Let's label this. It's going to be working with the start and end date parameter, updating the date selection field. Let's click OK. And watch what happens now as I'm clicking through the calendar picker. So I'm going to pick the 5th, and this updates the start date, 5th of April 2016, and end date is going to be the 16th, and this now updates our end date in the parameter. So it works really nicely already. Now we need to add a few more things to make it even better. So we are going to add some colors and shapes. So the first calculation is going to be for our start date. Let me just have a look. There we go. So this is going to take the first date of our parameter before the semicolon. Let's click OK here. I will now create the end date. So let me just copy this to make it a bit faster. And this is going to take the second date from the parameter after the semicolon. Let's click OK. Now we have those couple of calculations. We can create our date range color calculation. Date range color. And this is simply taking the start and end date as our selected dates. This will be in bright pink. Our dates in range, so date greater than the start date and then date less than the end date, will be in light pink, and everything else will be out of range in white. So let's click OK. We can add this to color. You can see now how the colors are changing, but let's add our own custom colors here. So in range, for example, is going to be in light pink, as we said. I'm just going to add my colors in here. Selected is going to be in bright pink. And out of range is going to be in white. So that looks already better. Now, what we need to do is add those on shapes as well, as they are a little bit faded now. So adding my shapes and date range color field on shape as well. So let's edit those. In range is going to be a filled square as well as selected. Not in range is going to be a blank square. So there we go. This already looks a bit better. Now, I don't really like this blank space in between my days. So I'm going to add 0 to my columns, and this is going to shrink that space. Let's hide this header and my week header as well. And now we have our nice calendar. Okay, so we're ready to move on to the next sheet, which is simply going to be our month header sheet. So currently this displays all of the months and years in the data, but I'm going to add my month filter to display just the selected month, April 2016. Now you may ask, why didn't we just use this header in the calendar picker. So let me show you why. I will add date to columns. Here it will display the year, and now it's adding this plus sign. It's building this date hierarchy, so users can go and click on this, but this will mess up my calendar, and I don't really want users to go and click on these selections. So this is why, let me remove this. I have built myself a string calculation for month header. Let me show you what the calculation looks like. Just taking the first 3 letters of the month, adding a space, and then the year of date. So this removes the functionality of the date hierarchy, so users can't really click on those plus and minus signs. All right, moving on to our metric sheets. We have metrics big numbers, which I have already built, including sales, profit, and quantity. This now displays the full values for the entire data set. So we will need to add a filter here for our date range. So I'm going to add a calculation, call this filter date range. And it's just going to take everything that is greater than the start date or less and equal to the end date. Click OK here and take this to filters. Apply it, you can see how the values are changing. And I'm going to apply the same filter date range for my metric lines, which currently display the entire data set. You can see from January 2016 to December 2019. So let's add filter date range to filter. And now we are starting from April 5th, 2016 till 16th of April 2016. Okay, so this is showing the selected range from the calendar picker. There we go, the same dates. Now, a little something I want to add to this sheet. When I hover over, you can see where we have no quantity, no value associated with a particular date, we have a blank space here in the tooltip. So I'm going to build a simple calculation to fill those nulls with zeros. Null into 0. I'm going to do this for sales, profit, and quantity. Whenever they're null, I want to turn them into 0. So let's see what it already exists. Oh, looks like I might have it from before. Let me just add a null space here. Yep, I have it from before. Let me add this to tooltip. I'm just making sure it works here. I'm going to insert it. And there we go. There we go. We have the zeros when there is blank quantity. And same for profit and sales. Perfect. Now moving on to our 5th sheet. This is going to be a simple sheet displaying the selected range, which I'm going to paste just underneath the calendar picker on the dashboard. So let's add date start and date end text. And I want to display the full day. And edit my text here to say selected period. Make it a bit smaller here, maybe size 8. Click OK. And there we have it. Now I'm going to jump to the dashboard and build out what we already have as sheets. As you can see, I have built myself a little template, just adding a few text boxes and setting my sizing as well for the mobile dashboard. And I'm going to start taking some of those sheets in here, my calendar. Let me remove all of and the title and the blank box here. I'm going to fit my entire view and add my month header just above here, pushing it to the top, and my selected period just underneath, pushing it to the bottom, just creating a bit of space here. That's better. And my metric overview sheets as well. So I have my metric big numbers and lines. Pushing my footer to the bottom, just adding a bit of space. There we go. And now, as we said, we already set up the worksheet action for the calendar to update, but we will have to do it here as well on the dashboard, adding a dashboard action to make it work here as well. So let's add a change parameter for this selection. And this is going to work with the select start and end date, updating the date selection. I'm going to click OK. And now when I click on a particular date, you can see how the range updates here at the bottom as well. Now, one quite annoying thing here is this highlighting. I really don't like this highlighting. And there is a simple trick that I learned from Andy Kriebel and Lorna Brown that I'm going to use here to remove the highlighting. So I'm going to go back to the sheet and build two very simple calculations. First one is true. So you already may know where I'm going with this. I'm going to add this to detail. Creating a new calculation, this will be false. Adding this to detail. Now, leaving these here and going back to the dashboard, I'm going to set up a filter action to remove this highlighting. So, dashboard actions, add a filter. I'm going to call this highlighting. And this is going to work with the target sheet calendar picker running on select and with the fields true and false. Click OK. And let's have a look now if this works. Clicking on 5 and 16, and you can see now it doesn't highlight anymore. It's quite nice and neat and very simple trick. So there might be other ways with which you can achieve this, so feel free to experiment here. All right, so moving on, we have a few more things to build out for our functionality. So just showing the solution here for a moment. We have a couple of arrows here to move to the next and the previous months. And we also have a show and hide container to select years and months. So let's build those out. I'm going to build previous month arrow first. So this will have to include a calculation. Date month previous is what we're going to call it. Calculation looks just like this, taking the previous month from date. So date add -1. Click OK. I'm going to add this on detail and choose month and year continuous. Currently it's displaying all of those months and years. Looks like I've already turned the tooltip off, but I'm going to add my month filter in here. to filter to just one particular month. And let me just turn this on so you can see what month it's displaying. So it's displaying March 2016. And if you remember, in our calendar picker, we had April 2016. So previous month will be March, which is perfect. Let's select a shape here. And I have gone for this particular arrow, but feel free to choose another one if you prefer. I'm going to add a 0 here to color to select here. So the reason why I'm not going into color straight away and selecting it for the shape is because it's going to change the color every time I select a new month. So this is why I'm just using this method of sum of 0, and I'm going to add my gray color here. And this is going to keep my arrow always in gray. Alrighty, let's go to our next month arrow sheet. Again, we need a calculation here for our date month next. This is what we're going to call this. And in very similar way, we are using date add, but this time we are adding 1 month to our date field. I'm going to put this on detail, choose my month continuous. Now it's adding all of those months and years. But if I add my month filter and set that to true, this is now going to display May 2016. And again, adding my 0 to color, I'm going to set this to gray color. Okay, one moment. There we go. This is going to keep my arrow always in gray. So let's go back to the dashboard and add those arrows to our dashboard. So previous arrow just here at the top, deleting this container and hiding the title, and the next month arrow as well here. Let's hide the title. And now we would need to set up our parameter actions once again to update the month selections, because as you know, nothing will happen currently when we click on this. So let's go to dashboard, actions, add a new parameter. This will be for our previous month, working with our previous month arrow sheet. Our parameter will be select month, and our value is going to come from the field month of date. Click OK and set up the next month parameter as well. So similar, select month parameter, month of date field, click OK. And now let's test it out. I'm clicking on the arrow. I can see the next month is updating here. And clicking backwards, it's also updating. So now what we can do with those arrows, I can select 22nd of April 2016, go to the next month and continue my selection over the course of the 2 months. So we have this functionality to select a date range in more than 1 month. All right, so we have a few more things to build out. Our sheets for the show and hide container. So select month and select year sheets are in here. I have already included my month of date on my text. And here I'm going to use a calculation for month columns, and month rows. Okay, this is a calculation I'm going to use to arrange my months in columns and rows. I learned about this calculation from Hania Nikolska from the Data School. She has a series of blogs on calendars, very, very useful on the Data School blog. So definitely do check those out. But before I do any of this, actually, I need to filter to a particular year because we don't want to display all of those months. So I'm going to have to build a year filter calculation. This is just going to take the year of select month parameter. Click OK, add this to my filters. And now we have just 2016 in our month. So let's go ahead and build our month columns. And this is the calculation which is going to split our month field into 4 columns. Click OK. Take this to columns. You can see how it's already working out. And I'm going to take my calculation for month rows, just copying this, save a bit of time. And this is going to put my months into 3 rows. So January, February, March, and April are going to be on row number 1. Then we have May, June, July, August on row number 2, and so on. Let's click OK, take this to our dimensions, and then to rows. And you can see how this is working out. I'm going to format these a little bit better now. I'm going to format, pane, I want to take just the month here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to hide those headers. And now we have arranged our months. We have filtered to our particular year. I want to add a bit of color here to show which month we have selected. Let's build another calculation, month color. And this looks just like this. It's taking the month of date and comparing, equaling that to the selected month from the parameter and giving that the value of selected. Let's add this to color. You can see now how it's highlighting May, which is the month we have currently selected. Let's change this. Our selected color is going to be in bright pink to match with our calendar. Sorry, let me just copy and paste this. There we go. Now it's going to be in white. And I'm going to add this to shapes as well. So let's select the shape mark, adding month color here. And our nodes are going to be a blank square. Selected is going to be a filled square. There we go. Perfect. I'm going to add the parameter action so it updates on the dashboard. Now, another thing I'm going to add here are my true and false fields to details, so I can remove the highlighting. You can see. So I'm going to set up that filter action on my dashboard as well, in the same way we did for our calendar picker sheet. So finally, let's go to our select year sheet. So over here, I have already included the years. We need a couple of calculations for this sheet. So first of all, we will have to create a month name filter. This looks just like this, very similar to our month filter that we already have over here, but this is taking the name of the month. So it filters correctly. Okay. Set that to true. And let's add our color as well. So your color. So very simple. Again, it's comparing the date, the year of the date field to the year of the select month parameter. Let's add this to color and change our colors here. Selected is going to be in bright pink. Now it's going to be in white. And adding those to shapes as well. Now is going to be a blank square and selected is going to be a filled square. Click OK, that looks better. Now again, I'm going to add true and false. So we remove this kind of highlighting. True and false here to detail. We're going to set up our action. Now, another thing I want to add to this sheet is our date field to detail. I'm going to turn this into a month continuous. So I'm doing this just so this sheet updates correctly with our calendar and select month sheets when we're selecting particular years. So back to the dashboard now for our final additions. I'm going to add my show and hide container. This will be a floating vertical container, which I'm going to add on top of my calendar picker. Okay, so let's position this just over here on top. Holding my shift key, I'm going to add my select year sheet. Just removing this excess. And similarly, adding my select month sheet. Removing the filters here on the side. And now it doesn't look particularly great now because I can still see my calendar picker at the bottom of this. So I'm going to select the container and I'm going to choose a white background for it. So that looks a bit better. And let's position those sheets, well, fit the entire view of those sheets, year and month. So that looks better. Leaving a bit of space here. And what I need to do now is set up my actions so my year and month update as I'm selecting. Okay, so let's go and create the actions. Dashboard actions. And this will be select month and year. It will work with the two sheets, select month and year. With the select month parameter, updating the month update. Click OK. And now let's have a look if it works. Selecting 2018, I can see how it updates in the header. And August 2018, perfect. Now I would need to add my filter action for removing this highlighting. It's quite annoying. So let's go and add an action. Excuse me. Filter. In the same way we did for our calendar picker sheet. Let's call this year. Select the year. set it up to work with true and false. Excuse me. My voice is going after all of this talking. Let's add another final filter action to stop highlighting the month. Selecting true and false here. Let me just check if I did it correctly here. No, I missed this step. Select and show all values. And let's have a look. So this works correctly. And this also works correctly. Now, one thing I can't see actually is where my vertical button went. So, oh, there we go. I didn't add this. So I'm going to just paste it here. And let me just hide those. And I can make a new selection now. So, of course, this needs a bit more arranging here to make it look a bit nicer. But essentially, the functionality is here. Let me try once again. Selecting a year and month, which updates the header. And now I can go and make my selections. Perfect. So this is the solution. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a lot of fun recreating this challenge. Thank you very much for listening.